Well, there was so many things that happened, and most of them were spontaneous. Winning brings so many things to the table. For instance, you know, we had volunteers from faculty. We had volunteers from the community. We had store like Albertsons and Safeway and City Market that were all wanted to be part of it. They were willing to sell tickets. They were wanted to be part of the program.
It was our first time to really be successful in an athletic program, and our experience with football had not been very good up until then. We joined the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and that was a pretty big step for a new college. And we just weren't really competing at that level. The big change, of course, came with the hiring of Bob Cortese as our new football coach.
Well, of course, it wasn't Colorado Mesa at that time. It was just Mesa College, not even Mesa State. And it was a great period to be a part of the athletics, the academics, and just a fun place to be during that period.
The records, we had a number of our players who received All-America honors and honorable mention honors, and I don't know, I think 16 or something like that were all conference, and I think it was the first time that the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference school had played in the national championship. It was our first experience, of course, at winning the conference and going on for a national championship.
But Bob would really get these kids working, and he tried to provide the academic background so they would stay eligible, but he had a real knack. And the other thing is, John said, he came out of Colorado, he had a good contact with high school coaches in Colorado, so he was able to recruit.
He had coached in the Denver area, and I knew of him, and then right after that he was at CU for a brief period, and then he came over here, and I had football roommates when he first came here, and they were all just very impressed with his winning attitude and what he brought to the program.
And I think his greatest assets, other than coaching, was he had contacts and he knew talent. You know, when he brought a player on to the program, he knew he could play. It wasn't a trial and error. He knew that he could contribute, or he didn't spend time with him.
We were just fortunate to be able to catch him. One of those lucky things where he was in between coaching jobs, and so it was great to do that. Enthusiastic, I think would do it. He had an enthusiasm for what he was doing for his players, and I guess I was a little bit surprised because he'd been in a number of places, number of jobs before, but a real enthusiasm for the college and for the community. And I'm sorry I can't be with you all for this recognition of the team of 52, but I would love to see Bob Cortese and tell him again, thanks for what you did for Mesa College.
I would use two words, tough love. And, you know, I just doubled up the vocabulary that I'm allowed to use. But I would like to extend appreciation to Bob, too. He's well engraved in our memory, isn't he?
He sure is, yes.
He also coined, I think, the phrase BYA, which in their terminology meant bust your ass. But to the students attending the games, it became bring your alcohol. So.
And I will have to say, and I think Coach Cortese will tell you the same, one of his biggest assets in the coaching was Bill Kralichek, his line coach. Bill Kralichek was an excellent line coach, and I don't know how many times I stood on the sidelines and they'd be playing some team, and the players would come off and say, Coach, they're not doing what you said they were going to do. And he'd set them down and he'd say, tell me what they're doing. And he'd draw it out and he'd run, and he said, now this is what we got to do. He'd change the whole scheme on the sidelines. And, you know, that's coaching. you know, that's coaching. I still remember when we first put ticket sales. Prior to that game in Oklahoma, which qualified, we were going to sell them through the student center. And within an hour, we were going to open the doors at 7. Within an hour, we had lines clear past the old library, down the sidewalk. And that's when we realized, you know, there's no way that we're going to take care of this with Frank Keller and Jackie Smith and myself.
Some of the games, Coach Cortese had brought such a winning attitude, and some of the student body, myself included, got spoiled and somewhat complacent in their winning. It got to be where we would be out tailgating before a game, and we wouldn't make it into the start of the game, but we could always guess the score by the amount of cannon fire, because they fired a cannon after every touchdown, and there were several games where that cannon was just going crazy, and so we would always guess the score based on the number of cannon shots from the parking lot. But we were there, and in spirit and in bodies.
I think the game that that sticks out in my mind is we played Central State of Michigan, and they were big and strong, and they were a very good ball club. And I can just remember in the fourth quarter, we had the ball, and I think we got it on about the 20-yard line, somewhere in there. And I remember Coach Cortese on the sideline said, "We've got to control the ball, and we're going to stick it down their throats." He didn't throw the ball. He went 4 yards, 3 yards. He'd make a 1st and 10 by, or the team would make a 1st and 10 by a foot, or maybe it'd be for 3 yards. And that demoralized them. He went on and scored, and you could just see that team fold. I mean, they just literally just beat them up.
And you know, I think he'll always remember this 1982 football season. It was a great one for all of us.
Thanks for the memories. When Betsy Sneed retired, I sang "Thanks for the Memories," and well, the doors were locked, so the people couldn't walk out. But I will not do that for Bob as a favor. You didn't know you were retired from a university, did you? But maybe if you look at my hat, you'll believe me. Thanks, Bob.
Well, Bob, to you, thanks for the memories. You provided us with wonderful years, not only of football, but of bringing a college and a community together. I think about you often. I followed your career. I understand you're doing some play-by-play work and so on in Oklahoma now. I'm sorry I can't be with you this evening, but hey, Guy, you're one of a million, and thanks for the memories.
Well, Bob, you and I had some good times together, and I want you to know that I respect you as one of the best coaches that I've ever been associated with, and not only be associated with, but probably in the state of Colorado and many other states. And I appreciated our relationships. I know we had some differences at times, but we were always able to work those out, and we remained friends. And you did a great deal for Mesa State College and its football program, and also for Grand Junction, Colorado. And as I've told you before, I thank you and wish you the very best.
Coach Cortese and the team of 1982, the Mesa Mavs, BYA, and congratulations.